There we go. So, first of all, I'll just read real quick because this is a really great introduction to her. Dr. Rachel Smart is a naturopathic doctor, and she's CEO of Smart Transformations and global wellness leader with nearly 30 years of experience in root causing healing and faith based prevention. She passionately teaches a food first approach to health and shares the power of Juice Plus, the number one pioneer in plant based nutrition and research, offering transformational superfood powders. As the author of Modern Day Miracles and Harder Storms, Higher Strength, Dr. Smart shares how faith in Christ, resilience, and simple daily choices can lead to extraordinary healing, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. She is the mother of four married daughters. She's yaya to nine grandchildren, and she's a PMD with the Juice Plus Company for 25 years. Welcome, Rachel. We're so glad to have you.
Oh, I'm excited to be here too. And I just grateful for, first of all, thank you for the introduction. And Sharon, praying for you and your family. And Mimi, it is a great way to connect. We know that God aligns perfect connections and stories are powerful. And so I'm grateful to be here with all of you and congratulations on the things you are doing. I think that's the first thing we have to get our mind right of what we are doing and what we can do, what we can be, and what we're part of. So I'm grateful for pouring into your team today. And so I just want to start out by asking you a little question. How many of you have been involved with the Juice Plus company just in the last year? Raise your hand. 5 years? 10 years been in Juice Plus? 20 years? We got some legacy leaders here. uh, well, we have I've been involved with this company for over 25 years. I've been taking Juice Plus, and I just always wanted to let you know that wherever you are, and so a lot of you have been involved with the company for a long time, and I really believe that we go through our struggles in life, the messy places, they can become your very best comeback or story in general. It could be the greatest gift that you have to the world to give. And so I just wanted to start out by telling you that I wanted to share my story, my struggles. I think it's real to tell struggles, how I've overcome them, how I'm still overcoming them, because you never arrive, right? Once you get to a mountain, there's other mountains, right? And then how to navigate some of the ways that we're building new momentum with new teams and new vision with the changes of our company, and give you some tips. And then if we have time, we can do some Q&A. But I started out, I was a young mom. I was 34 years of age when I was learning about life, I guess. And I was so happy. I had my four children in play. And I always tell people I never lived in a castle, but I sure felt like a queen. The way my husband treated me, it was amazing. And then we had something really scary happen to our family. My husband was always a tip-top athlete. He had perfect picture of health, and there was no real warning, just a few right before he was suddenly diagnosed with adrenal cancer. It was a very rare cancer. Most people never heard of pheochromocytoma, and most people who ever had dealt with it is 90% benign. But we found out later, after some more tests and being promptly dismissed by the National Institute of Health, which knew more about this rare cancer, that he just had it all spread all over his body. When they found just the first symptoms occurred, that it spread everywhere, it was in his lungs, liver, lymphatic system, and his bones. And it was just so scary. He had a big tumor, and we were just like, our dreams were being shattered. And was like, what are we going to do? And then once we picked up the pieces of, like, we've got to be a fighter, we've got to turn on we already had our faith, but turned it up a lot more, surrendering in that. We started asking questions. We felt we were led to a perfect doctor that was a medical doctor, that was also a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Joel Robbins from Oklahoma. He began we went down to be with him to learn what he was doing with his Rejuva weeks. And we learned that the body can heal, that food is your best medicine, that we can slow down, we can fight, we can reverse, we can allow the body to take over or get more time. So I became a very serious student and became in training to be a naturopath. And my husband was my first student. We were given 6 months to live. That's a panic. But we began juicing a gallon of raw vegetable juice every day for him. We did, dehydration and wheatgrass and colonics and mind work, and we did all of it. And I was really going to do whatever it took. And then A neighbor had reached out to us to hear Dr. Du Bois speak about the power of dehydrated food. And I didn't believe that could be possible to put fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And I dismissed her for a little bit until I eventually learned and listened to the research that it was a juicing alternative with a fraction of the cost. And it was vine ripened with the variety. And now we know more about the synergy of the healing power of getting all the plants coming together with peelings. And it was pre-digested food. So it all heals, doesn't take the energy away from digesting a food. And it's a nutritional seat belt and armored us when we can't, won't, don't, or wherever we are. And so we were so grateful that we could get out of the kitchen. And just to make a long story short, was so grateful. I went to hear Dr. Du Bois and what he was doing with the AIDS patients and internal medicine, and seeing changes with the AIDS people that had AIDS, but also whether you're a healthy, taking it to the next level, whether you're cancer, battling it strong, or whether you just want to age well. Juice Plus is something that could be that foundation to build upon and therapeutically used. We use it therapeutically for my husband, and he was able to get 8 extra healthy years. 8 extra healthy years. And you can't imagine 8 years with my children. My youngest was 1 and she was 9 when he passed away. So she got to have time and memories. I got to be able to learn. And I really believe the Lord gave me a wound that became a core calling in what I teach with passion and purpose and pleasure. I am so grateful to have a business, my naturopath business, and I tuck in Juice Plus as that nutritional tool. And I'm just so grateful to have a secret weapon. Really, I call it God's chemotherapy. It is non-negotiable. It is an investment. It is not an expense in my book. So I learned the lessons. And then, of course, for me, seeing my husband, I battle strong and needing, and how he progressed and navigated something that was so terminal for an extended time. I looked at my health a whole new way, that I was not going to wait for wake-up calls to make sure I paid attention to my health. Because we know, and I learn and I teach this, that 70 to 90% of just symptoms come out of when the disease is already developed. So we do not want to wait and think we're healthy, we eat well, we don't have a problem, our blood levels show well. My husband's blood levels showed perfect before he got diagnosed. So I want you to know that we know we need more plants and more protection. I have not been to the sick care doctor in 25, 26, 7 years. I've been doing Juice Plus. I have seen, as a naturopathic doctor, the number one thing that I have seen the most changes in my clients is when they start getting this in their bodies. And then we start seeing stacking, more layers of detoxing, better emotional work, and with habit stacking with our programs. It is amazing. And I had my daughter, I guess I could tell you a story with my daughter. So I hope that you're appreciating the story, because we need to get really excited about our own health first before we can change anybody else's. But my daughter, Sarah, when she was, like 6, 7, 8, 9, she had asthma. My only daughter that had that, and she had to take inhalers after school. And she was probably 2 times a year, end up in the hospital with pneumonia. It was very, very scary. Can't breathe. When we started Juice Plus, even though we don't make claims, her body began to shift with Juice Plus and some of the changes we were making. And we started working on some air filters as well. But in 4 months, she never had asthma, never had taken an inhaler, never had steroids, and never had a trip to the hospital for pneumonia. So it was just amazing what can come out. But the real reason, if I was to summarize anything, is the real reason why I take a concentrated raw fruits and vegetables with Juice Plus is to protect me from the sneaky diseases I cannot see or feel. I never took Juice Plus to see anything. I did it to prevent, and so that I can have confidence that if I have to face something in my life, I have primed my pump and I have tools to fight, and I'm going to lower 70 to 90% down of disease all in general. So that's kind of how I started with learning about Juice Plus and being part of the mission. I was so grateful that I got in just to, kind of offset my cost, to cover costs. And I wasn't in a business, I didn't think. I was so busy with my husband and learning my new business and my children. But I learned one thing from my life, is that even though death, after he passed away, and by the way, it's been 20 years, I've learned that death isn't the greatest loss, though hard, but the greatest loss is what you let die within you while you're still alive. And so we have to think about our dreams and putting them back on the shelf and rewriting our best stories and not letting the messy parts of our lives take us out. And so I decided at the time my husband passed away, and I had been in partnership with the company for, 5 years before he died. And I was making about 2000 a month, very strong sales coordinator business. And, but at that point, I had a lot of things that happened in my life that made me step up and to not allow myself to tell the shy Rachel story, or that I am not enough story. And I made a pledge to do whatever it takes to take care of my body and to educate others. And so I looked at the things that often hold people back. And it was, I could use this as an excuse, and maybe you can too, but too busy. No, I turned it into a noble work, that I'm never too busy to care and to share and to love. And then salesy, we're in sales, yes, but we don't have to be salesy. There's a big difference between in sale or salesy. And for me, I turned it into, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, and I'm an option giver. And I help you identify what's the need. May you be open to some information to help you up level whatever that was that you wanted to change. So it's really through education and asking good questions, and not to be salesy. Salesy is when you're trying to talk people into something. And it was a journey for me. So maybe at the Q&A, you can ask me. I was a mess at the beginning. I didn't know how to ask the questions. And then another struggle that helped me as I navigated this was the multi-level marketing. And at the beginning, I had some things that were triggers that, somebody that was unprofessional years in my 20s shared with me Amway, and I just didn't like that feeling of being off guard or switching bait type thing. And it was not professional. But I learned that there's a professional way to share. This is a distribution channel. This is amazing. And it's a way to be part of community. It is part of a DNA. It could be a great way to change your life and be happy and find joy. And there are many different types of companies, and you can't lump them all together. So I was grateful that I worked through that, and that helped me move forward when I wanted to grow a business, not just a hobby. So I started out, um, you know, just I wanted to get it in my family, and then with my husband's death, it was like, okay, I'm going to get that benefit packet. So first of all, if you're listening, hope my story had layers to it that you could learn from some of that. But I decided to re-sign that application. That was one thing. I didn't do it as a hobby or just when I was going to do it like a business. So I started shifting reading all the health books to business books, or at least made it more, I weaving my business story in. So a lot of times, just learning why I wanted to do something was my children. I wanted to stay home with them. I wanted the tuition support, and I wanted the benefit packet, because no one's going to raise my kids. I was going to do whatever it took. So I did that in 2 years. And if I could do it with no business skill, because I looked at Mimi, I talked to her, and she had all this business skill. I had no business skill, but I had a pit bull inside of me, a loving heart to care. And I was on fire for Juice Plus and what it could do to help people get started and to Armor Strong. And then I'd help my children I was raising my kids, and I had the oldest one in 18 going to college, and I had a 9-year-old. They're all into school. I had to have them aligned with my help, or had it asked them to help me out. I was clunky, and I had a lot to learn. And so I set boundaries around some of our time together, but I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff, and I'm being very messy. I don't know how to do this. I need your prayers. I need your time. And when you see me on the phone, you give me a little hands up that, yeah, you can do it. And we're working for our Disney trip. We made it a family goal, or working towards some things that we're going to do together. So I reached national marketing director, the top of the company, in 2 years. And I just was so grateful that I was able to have that realization with teams and learning about clunky learning. But as an authentic me telling you the story, I sat at about 20 club for over 13 years. So it wasn't like it was a lot of learning, because I had to figure out my leadership and learn, and I'm still learning. And the business is all over the place. I mean, it's like you get there, but you never stay there. You arrive, you kind of hopefully you waffle a little bit to hold it, but it's not that you always say, I'm going to be here and just shoot up like a rocket ship. So I shifted, and that helped me to grow. I think the highest I've been was like 75 club. But as the last couple of years, it's been hard for a lot of us. So I made it to presidential marketing director, but it's a lot of things that have to be kind of revamped. And so I'm in for the long haul. And I want to tell you that you commit to something, you'll continue to grow, you'll refine, you'll learn, you overcome, and you're not alone. So I thought today, as we're sharing some things, that my story is a lot of layers for you. I hope that you got maybe in the chat you could put what you took away. But I wanted to let you know some of the things that took me to a place of, a sales coordinator moving into leadership, and identified four things that are really the focus. It is the mindset. It is huge. You have to have the right mindset that you're going to treat this as a. I'm going to back up. Some of you are on the call that just like to have the $1,000 paycheck, and that is fine. And the mindset should be just you're proud of what you're doing, and then having some goals. So with the challenge the company puts out, they're putting a lot of challenges. Go for the challenges, knowing that you always have a heart to change lives, and getting 3 to 5 customers a month and 1 to 2 partners. That's really where we change the impact and on our whole world as our legacy. So have a mindset that you're in a mission, a movement, a revolution, not just making you do something. So the mindset is you're blessed. We're part of a pioneer. We're part of potential. Learn how to help get your head right by reading personal growth books. I'm always reading personal growth books, keep my head right. I just talked to another client partner of mine. I asked her how she was doing. She's one of my top leaders, the senior sales coordinator, and asked her how she was doing. She says, well, I'm really overwhelmed. She says, she's taken to her grandkids, and she says, I'm burned out. All these words were real heavy, and though may be true. But I said, what if we reframe that and say our kids, instead of burned out with the kids, saying they're a blessing. I'm grateful to be part of this. I just have to do a little bit slower right in this next week, but I'm so grateful to be part of this, versus the words we say target how we're going to live out our lives and what we attract. We're blessed. Sometimes we can be busy and a lot, then we take breaks, but we never stop. The second thing is good verbiage. You got to have some good verbiage and knowing what to share. And I will share with you some things that work for me. Coachability. You have to be coachable, and you have to ask for help. And anytime I've gotten stuck, I've asked for help in my business, because sometimes often I need coaching, and I need to be consistent. So hope those things you're writing down. But to back up to the mindset, one more thing was I quit wishing for things to get better. I started committing to habits. Sometimes we just say, I wish somebody would be attracted to my team. I started being committed to who I was going to be and how my energy was and how much I cared about people, and started asking people, how are you doing? How are you really doing? Just ask. That would be a challenge for this week, is how are you really doing? And listen, and just listen and love and listen and just be there, and just and bring out whatever you could do to share something that may be part of what they could help them. And so those are some things to think about. And I always try on Sunday to pre-plan. I remember when I first started my business, I asked Jeff Roberti, our top income earner in our entire company, what do you do? What would be a couple things you do that you could tell me how to be successful? He says, prepare for the week before the week. So I struggle with that. And sometimes I still do struggle, but I know if I prepare my daily method of operation, my DMO sheet, you may have that on your team, what you used to map out who you will call, who you will reach out to, what events you're building for, and inviting, all the things that we have to be the basics in our business. You will save hours and hours and hours of time. Just like a painter. How many of you had your house painted before? I have. They take a day to prep, put all the tape up, and then they go to work and it's done in a heartbeat. But if we don't prepare, we won't succeed very well. We'll waste a lot of time. We'll get very frustrated. So that's one thing, is be very intentional about preparing for the week ahead. I started also, when I worked my business prior to me taking it to the top of the company, was I was just sharing a really strong product story. So then I realized if I want to invite people to business, I've got to have a business story. So I started sharing that I'm expanding my business. I'm expanding my mission. So depending on how I use the word, some people like the word business. Some people think of that as work. And some people like the word mission. And so I kind of thought about the person I was sharing it with, and I changed how I'm expanding my mission. Or I wanted to run some things by you, and maybe some people, but I was thinking maybe we could collaborate on some things. Would you be open to lunch, a walk, or something that I want to get to know them better? And I never talked much at the beginning. I always asked lots of questions until we're about 45 minutes into the conversation. So I knew exactly what might help that person. So, so those are some things that helped me too. One of the secrets of my verbiage has always been this. People ask me, what do you share? And whether I'm inviting to an event or inviting into business or a program, the reset program or whatever, I just say, I don't know if you might be one of the ones. So like, for example, if I was inviting to, the reset program, or I don't know if you might be one of the ones that we're having this big reset, kind of a cleanse focused time. We've got so many people excited about it. Didn't know if you're one of the ones that want to be part of that, or at least knowing about it. I would love for you to be part of what we're doing. Are you one that wants to really up level your health or continue your healthy habits? I didn't know if you're one of the ones. And that could be with business too, or any event of any style. That's how I begin, and it is such a great. People love that. I don't know if you're one of the ones we're having a Thursday night an event with fitness and nutrition and gut health. I would love for you to be part of our event. We're serving smoothie bowls, things like that. That really has been a work for me. One of the things too, I don't know, people ask me what books I read, and I think there's some basics. So I will just share my basics, and always be a reader because you're going to grow. And I know this team has a lot of great leaders. But the Compound Effect is always one I go to each year, at least every quarter. I circle back to some of these books. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. One of my favorites is How to Sell Network Marketing Without Fear or Anxiety of Losing Your Friends. And that's Michael Oliver. GoPro. And then at our last conference, I think it was this one. This is a great one. Exactly What to Say. And it was just a great one to learn how to listen better, really. So those are some things to keep with your mind. One of the things too, I know Sharon, you mentioned on the first of this call, we have this incentives the company puts out. So one of the things you could do is just share with people you have a goal. For example, I'm trying to help more people this month, and I have a goal to reach, 5 families with our program. And then, because we have an incentives, but you could wrap it around the Heart for Children, or could be cancer prevention or whatever. But I'm trying to help 12 families become healthier and really be part of reaching and impacting lives with better nutrition. Would you be open to having a conversation? And I thought of you today. I care about you today. So that's some way is to think you're wrapped around, I'm helping 5 families or 10 families. I have 2 more to go to help reach out. And I don't know what you may do with the information, but you deserve to know. So make it not about selling. It is just, they need to know. I want you to be there. I had an event this last week on Friday with Dr. Phillips, and we planned on 80 max, but we had about 55. And I've learned to focus on who is coming versus who's not coming. And I realized I saved back my invites to let my team build for it. But I realized that we could have had a lot more people. And so 2 days prior, I went on the phone and said, holy cow, I forgot to invite you. I have 5 extra spots only. And I want to see if you want to be part of this. And I had 8 more guests a day or 2 before the event. So a lot of times this week before the end of the month, or if you're right the day or 2 before an event, get excited and just say, oh my gosh, I don't want you to be left out. I totally forgot to invite you. I feel bad, and those are some ways to get the energy back, the momentum back. Before I kind of let you have time to ask me some questions, I wrote out some things to help, whether you're new or seasoned, how to have a very good focus of this type of business. And these are things I had learned. Is first of all, have the right expectation. I shared that at the beginning, is there's no perfect road to the top. You don't just sign it and you just ride the wave. No, there is going to be bumps in the road, and the bumps help you know that you have to work a little skill in there to rise. And for me, growing into a leader, I realized I have to quit being the spotlight person. I've got to get my teams in front of the room. So I started sitting down. I started reading notes. I started letting them share their stories and letting them shine. So those are some things that I learned too. And then one of my top leaders is a doctor, and how I recruited her was I went in and I just said, I'm looking for another doctor. And she was a a doctor of osteopathic medicine. I was looking for a holistic doctor. And I just said, I don't know if you're the one. I'm just looking to explore doctors, and I'm a great referral. And I'd love to collaborate with other doctors. Love to interview you. Would you be open for a lunch? So anyway, I took her for lunch and talked to her, let her talk all about her dreams, her struggles, her vision. And then I asked her, have you ever seen the research behind Juice Plus? Anyway, so those are the ways I kind of worked her in, and she grew really fast, and she's a strong leader, Dr. Gina Gonzalez Johnson. You guys, Mimi, you asked me to share too some of the things I do maybe to start somebody up. I always start people with more of asking a lot more questions and taking more time at the beginning of getting somebody started. I've even held back on partnering with a person until I just don't push them into, signing the application. I want to make sure they're successful. So sometimes I pull back and just say, you're not quite ready to really share, then let's start you just as a customer, and I'm going to get you very good results. Let's get you on the Reset program. We got to be on that, and I'm going to give you 1 or 2 things to listen to each week. And then I get them on a phone with another partner to share stories. I start giving them some international call invites, but I get people when they start to get Partner Plus day 1 and at least 50 names on the books. And I work with them how to share this first 5 to 10, 15 people with at least 2 events. So that's what I do. I am using the superfoods a lot. I won the Luminate. When they did the Luminate contest, I was one of the winners. There's 5 in our company. I went to work. I set a goal, and I really worked hard at getting people excited about not having the coffee drinking habit as much, and energy drinks, or just the fatigue. And this is a game changer for mental clarity, focus, and brain support. And I have a call that I could give you that I did around that. And then the superfood, it is the game changer. I bought all these samples, and I went out to all my customers, my cancel customers, my prospects, my team. And I use this as a driver to let people have samples and to get into conversation. It is a game changer. Always something they can do if they wanted to, because some people feel like capsules. And then I'm always using our cutting edge perfect protein that we have with 15 more plants with our shake mix, and really helping people have passion behind what we do, how we live. Our Reset program is the lifestyle program. And I share with people, and I'll share the last thing with you, is about how and what this business has done for me. It is the best decision, even though the nutrition is huge for my health. The best decision I have ever done is to be part of saying yes to Juice Plus business and the mission, because it's affected every single area of my life. It has helped me be a better mother. It has helped me be a better friend, a mentor, a business entrepreneur. And I was been able to do things I never thought possible. When my husband died, he was making a lot of money, and I loved to ride his coattail. And I saw my children looking up to me, and I wanted to mentor them how to do hard things well. And I have been able to raise all my children with strong full ride. They got not into full ride. They went into marriage without any debt. They all went to college and graduated from the colleges of their dreams, Cinderella weddings. I have 9 grandkids, and I am at everything that's important to me. And everything that I have learned, a lot of the things I've learned outside of my faith, of course, you have to know there is a God and that loves us and we're not alone, that these personal growth, this journey that I have done has affected every part of every conversation. I had a client this morning, helping her believe in some of the emotion detachments of some of the things that's going on in her health, and how to think, to heal, to live, to be, and to take your health and life and joy factor to the next level. So that's why I wrote the 2 books. And I could have went further. I don't know what else you want to know, because I could talk a lot more about other things too, but I wanted to tell you that I'm grateful to share. And I can say that I'm happy with who I am. I don't want to be known as the Juice Plus lady. I want to be known as a person that helps others that rise strong when it's hard, to heal deep and to live beautifully, which means wholeness. And that's what I want to be known for. And people do not buy Juice Plus, they buy you. So I hope that you enjoyed some of those tips and inspired by some of the layered lessons I taught you today.
Oh my goodness, Rachel. I wrote down as fast as I could write, and I'm sure others